Pause for just a moment before you do anything else. Not because someone told you to, not because you planned to, but because something inside you already feels slightly different right now, even if you don't know why. You almost scrolled away. You almost treated this like another video, another voice, another message that blends into the noise. But something stopped you. That hesitation was not random. Right now, there are millions of sounds competing for your attention. Notifications, opinions, pressure, expectations, constant motion. Yet, in the middle of all that noise, you felt a stillness pulling at you, a quiet interruption. That is not coincidence. What you are about to hear is not meant to rush you. It is meant to settle into you. So don't listen the way you normally do. Listen the way you listen when something feels personal. You may not realize it yet, but moments like this are rare. Not because the words are special, but because your heart is open enough to hear them. That openness did not come overnight. It was shaped by disappointment, questions, silent struggles, and nights when you felt unseen. You didn't arrive here accidentally. Your life has been slowly steering you toward a pause like this for a long time. There have been moments when everything around you looked fine, but something inside felt unfinished. You smiled, you functioned, you moved forward, but deep down there was a sense that something was missing. Not something you could name easily, just a quiet awareness that life was happening, yet something deeper was waiting. You tried to fill that space with achievement, with distraction, with relationships, with routine. Sometimes it worked for a while, sometimes it didn't. But the feeling always came back. That feeling is not weakness. It is not failure. It is not confusion. It is recognition. Long before this moment, long before you had words for it, your soul knew there was more than survival, more than just getting through days, more than repeating patterns that never fully satisfy. You may have asked yourself questions you never said out loud. Why do I still feel restless even when things are going well? Why does peace feel temporary? Why do I feel pulled toward something I can't explain? Those questions didn't come from doubt. They came from awareness. Most people silence those questions quickly. They stay busy. They stay entertained. They stay distracted. Not because they are shallow, but because slowing down feels uncomfortable. You didn't silence them completely. That's why you're here. Even now, a part of you is alert. You're listening carefully. You're wondering why these words feel like they are aimed directly at you. That is because this is not about information. It is about alignment. There are moments in life when something shifts quietly. Nothing dramatic happens on the outside, but internally, a line is drawn. Before and after. Awake and unaware, moving blindly and moving with intention. This is one of those moments. You don't need to agree with everything yet. You don't need to decide anything immediately. But you do need to stay present, because what often changes a life is not a loud event. It is a clear moment. You have walked through seasons where you felt strong. You have also walked through seasons where you felt lost. Both taught you something. Strength showed you what you could handle. Loss showed you what you couldn't control. And somewhere between those two, your heart learned humility. That humility is why this moment matters. You may think your life has been random, a series of choices, mistakes, recoveries, and coincidences. But randomness does not shape people this precisely. Every disappointment refined something in you. Every delay slowed you just enough to notice deeper questions. Every unanswered moment trained you to listen. You didn't realize it then, but you were being prepared to recognize a different kind of call. Not one that shouts, one that resonates. Right now, nothing is demanding you. Nothing is forcing you. And yet, something feels urgent, without being aggressive. That is the difference between pressure and purpose. Pressure overwhelms. Purpose invites. You are being invited to look at your life honestly, without judgment, without fear, without pretending. To notice where you are aligned and where you are drifting. To feel the difference between comfort and peace. Comfort keeps things familiar. Peace makes things right. There is a version of your life where you keep going exactly as you are. It looks stable. It looks acceptable. It even looks successful to others. And there is another version where things shift internally. Not instantly, not magically, but meaningfully. That second version begins with awareness. Awareness is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it is also freeing because it removes confusion. You already sense that something is asking for your attention, not loudly, not dramatically, just clearly. This is not about religion. It is not about performance. It is not about trying harder or being better. It is about relationship, connection, direction. You were not created to wander endlessly, guessing your way through meaning. You were created to walk with clarity, even when the path is challenging. But clarity requires stillness, and stillness requires courage. Most people avoid stillness because they are afraid of what they might hear. You stayed. That matters. Right now, nothing external has changed, but internally, something has begun. You may not fully understand it yet. That's okay. Understanding comes later. Response comes first. Not a response with words. A response with attention. Stay with this moment. Don't rush ahead. Don't look for conclusions yet. Because what comes next builds on what you are feeling now. And what you are feeling now is the beginning of recognition. This is only the first step, not the destination. But the moment you realize you were never as alone, lost, or unseen as you thought. If you stay, what unfolds next will make sense of things you've felt for a long time, but never knew how to explain. And that is where the journey truly begins. As you remain here, something subtle is happening beneath the surface. You may not be able to name it, but you can feel it. A quiet shift. A sense that you are no longer just listening, but being addressed. This is usually the moment when people get uncomfortable. Not because anything is wrong, but because clarity begins to approach. And clarity changes things. When awareness deepens, it gently exposes what has been avoided. Not to shame you, not to accuse you, but to show you where your heart has been carrying weight it was never meant to hold. You have been strong for a long time, stronger than most people realize. You learned how to function even when you were tired inside. You learned how to keep moving even when you didn't feel direction. At first, that strength felt empowering. Later, it felt exhausting. There were seasons when you told yourself this was just adulthood, that everyone feels this way, that life is supposed to feel heavy sometimes. But deep down you knew this wasn't just about stress or responsibility. It was about distance. Not distance from people. Distance from meaning. You didn't lose it suddenly. It happened gradually. Small compromises, small delays, small moments where you chose what was easier instead of what was true. None of them felt serious at the time. That's how drifting works. It doesn't announce itself. It slowly pulls you off course while everything still looks normal. You didn't wake up one day and decide to disconnect. You simply stopped responding to certain inner signals, signals that once guided you, signals that once felt clear. At first, ignoring them felt harmless. You told yourself you'd come back to it later, when life slowed down, when things made more sense. But later kept moving. And with time, something changed. Not dramatically, quietly. You notice that peace didn't stay as long as it used to. That joy felt conditional. That fulfillment came in short bursts instead of deep rest. You compensated. You adjusted. You adapted. You became good at appearing fine. But adaptation is not the same as alignment. Alignment feels different. It feels steady, even when life isn't. It feels anchored, not anxious. It feels like movement without chaos. You remember what that felt like, even if you haven't felt it in years. That memory has been resurfacing lately, in quiet moments, in emotional reactions you didn't expect, in a longing that doesn't match your circumstances. That longing isn't nostalgia, it's direction. There is a reason this moment doesn't feel random. There is a reason these words feel uncomfortably precise. There is a reason you haven't turned this off yet. Because something in you knows that continuing exactly as before will eventually cost you more than change ever could. Change is intimidating because it asks for honesty. Honesty about what you've been avoiding. Honesty about what you already know. You already know where you've been settling. You already know where your heart feels divided. You already know what you've been postponing. That knowledge hasn't condemned you. It has been waiting for you to stop running from it. This is where resistance often rises. Not loud resistance. Quiet rationalization. You might feel thoughts like, "This isn't the right time. I need more clarity first. I'll deal with this later." Those thoughts are familiar because they've protected you before. They kept things stable. They kept discomfort at bay. But stability is not the same as growth. Growth asks something of you, not perfection, not sudden transformation, but willingness. Willingness to acknowledge that something needs to shift. Willingness to release control. Willingness to respond instead of delay. You don't have to fix your whole life today.
You don't have to understand every step ahead. But you do have to stop pretending nothing is being asked of you.
Because something is, not aggressively, not forcefully, but persistently. That persistence isn't pressure, it's care. Care that refuses to let you stay disconnected. Care that won't let you settle for less than what you were designed for. You weren't created to live in constant inner tension. You weren't created to silence your own awareness. You weren't created to function without direction. You were created for connection, for clarity, for a life that makes sense on the inside, not just the outside. Right now, you are standing at an internal threshold. Nothing external marks it. No announcement. No dramatic sign. Just a choice. Not a choice you make publicly. A choice you make honestly. Will you keep adapting, or will you begin aligning? Alignment will challenge some patterns. It will confront some comforts. It will require letting go of versions of yourself that no longer fit. That can feel like loss. But it is actually release. Release from carrying things you were never meant to carry alone. Release from pretending peace is something you have to manufacture. Release from the quiet exhaustion of living divided. This moment is not asking for your fear. It is asking for your attention. Stay open. Stay present. Because what comes next does not explain this moment. It responds to it. And the response will begin to clarify what alignment truly means for your life. If you have stayed this far, it means something inside you has already chosen not to turn away. That choice may not feel dramatic, but it is significant. Because most shifts in life do not begin with bold declarations. They begin with quiet honesty. Right now, you are not being asked to prove anything. You are not being measured. You are not being evaluated. You are being invited. Invited to step out of the constant negotiation you've been having with yourself. The negotiation where you promise change later, clarity later, peace later. The one where you keep surviving today while postponing alignment. That pattern ends when you stop waiting for certainty and start responding to truth. Truth does not shout. It settles. You already feel it settling now. A calm seriousness. Not fear, not excitement, just recognition. This is the point where things become simple, even if they are not easy, not simple as in shallow, simple as in clear. You do not need a sign. You do not need another explanation. You do not need external permission. What you need, you already have. Awareness, willingness, and a moment of stillness where your heart is finally listening. There is a difference between knowing something intellectually and accepting it internally. You crossed that line quietly. Acceptance does not mean you suddenly have everything figured out. It means you stop resisting what you already know. You know what has been draining you. You know what has been pulling you off center. You know what you have been avoiding out of fear, comfort, or habit. None of that disqualifies you. It simply defines the starting point. Alignment always begins where honesty meets humility. Humility is not weakness. It is accuracy. It is the moment you stop pretending you are self-sufficient and allow direction to enter. Not direction that controls you, direction that steadies you. This is where peace begins to change shape. Not the temporary peace that comes when things go your way, but the kind that remains even when they don't. That peace does not come from effort. It comes from surrender. Surrender is often misunderstood. It is not giving up your will. It is aligning it. It is choosing to stop carrying everything alone. Choosing to stop managing outcomes you were never meant to control. Choosing to trust guidance instead of forcing certainty. Trust does not eliminate questions. It quiets panic. You may still have questions about the future, about timing, about outcomes. That's normal. But notice this. The anxiety attached to those questions is already weakening. That is not accidental. When alignment begins, tension loosens first. Answers come later. You are not stepping into something unknown. You are stepping back into something familiar that you drifted from slowly. Connection, direction, clarity, not perfection. Your life does not need to become smaller to become meaningful. It needs to become focused. Focus simplifies decisions. Focus reduces noise. Focus restores energy. From this point forward, you will notice subtle changes, not dramatic overnight shifts, but internal recalibration. Things that once felt urgent may lose their grip. Things you once avoided may feel lighter to face. Your responses may slow, but your confidence will deepen. This is what alignment does. It does not remove responsibility. It reorders it. You will still walk through challenges, but you will no longer walk through them confused about who you are or why you are moving forward. Purpose does not eliminate difficulty. It makes difficulty meaningful. Right now, nothing external needs to change for this to be real. The change is already happening internally. That is where all lasting change begins. You may not have words for it yet. That's okay. Some things are confirmed by peace, not language. Stay attentive in the days ahead, not anxious. Attentive. Notice what pulls you toward clarity. Notice what drains you without giving back. Notice what aligns and what divides. You will begin to sense direction without force. And when you feel that quiet confirmation, follow it. not perfectly. Honestly, this is not the end of something. It is the return to something. A life that is no longer fragmented. A heart that no longer needs to run. A path that unfolds step by step, instead of all at once. If you feel gratitude right now, let it remain quiet. If you feel resolve, let it be steady. If you feel peace, let it anchor you. You don't need to announce this moment. You don't need to prove it to anyone. But if your heart feels aligned, you already know. And if you choose to acknowledge it, you can simply say it where you are. Amen. Not as a ritual, as recognition. From here, walk forward with awareness. The noise will return, but it won't control you the same way. Life will continue, but it will feel anchored instead of scattered. And when you look back, you will realize this was not just a video. It was a moment. One you chose